Video conferencing platform Zoom was one of the biggest winners of the past year and a half, with users around the world relying on its services throughout COVID-19 lockdowns. But as restrictions have started to ease, shares have fallen 28% since the beginning of the year. And the company says growth in the coming months will continue to slow as schools and offices reopen and people start traveling again. Paolo Montesiglio reports.
Zoom's been a lifesaver for many organizations. When cities were placed under lockdown due to the pandemic, people turned to the video conferencing app to connect.
And inside of 3 days, we had faculty ready to go to continue the spring semester of 2020.
Some users have stuck with it, as highlighted during the virtual Zoomtopia conference in September. Their bosses said they continue to use the service to talk to employees, while businesses use it to reach new clients.
Zoom can scale to support all of our users working remotely. So based on that, we feel so comfortable and confident with Zoom as a service.
I actually don't see this trend slowing down. If anything, the adoption of Zoom is only going to increase as people perfect how to be efficient in their work and retain balance at home.
But as governments lift lockdowns, the outlook has dimmed. Profits were up 70% to $340 million in the 3 months to October. Growth in revenue, however, has slowed to 35% from 360% in the same period last year. That sent shares tumbling 3.5% on Wall Street overnight.
So it's that slowdown that investors are concerned about and the potential for a further move lower. So I think that Zoom has really recognized its need to diversify away from just video and audio communications.
In order to do that, the company recently launched On Zoom, a platform featuring experiences such as virtual tours, music lessons, and exercise classes. It hopes these offerings will keep people logged on to the service that connected them during a once-in-a-century crisis. Paolo Montesiglio, TRT World.
For more, let's go to Daniel Ives. He's the Managing Director and Senior Equity Research Analyst at Wedbush Securities in New York. Daniel, better than expected results for Zoom. How sustainable, though, is this for a company that was one of the biggest winners during the pandemic?
Yeah, they were the poster child, among others, in terms of the pandemic for winners. What we've seen with Zoom, Peloton, Citrix, and others, you've seen now growth significantly moderate, and that's why the stock continues to sell off. I think we'll get to a point that it's probably oversold, but I think for Zoom, it's trying to figure out what a sustained growth looks like over the coming years.
Right. Would the prospect of further lockdowns, at least in Europe this coming winter, signify another, albeit slowly short-lived spike in demand for the company?
Look, I think it speaks more to just a semi-remote environment that we're going to be working in. Even as many return to the office, we still estimate you're going to have 40–45% in some sort of semi-remote workforce, but both in the U.S. as well as globally. And I think what we see with some of these spikes in Europe is that Zoom continues to be the lifeline. Now, with that said, does that mean it's a good stock? That's why we're coming off the moderating growth. That's why you're starting to see this sell-off.
You speak about a semi-remote environment. It's really interesting. And some investors at the same time are concerned that Zoom's best days are behind it unless it can really find new avenues of business. How do you think the company should really change its business model to ensure growth, but also to keeping an eye on competition?
Look, they're in a position of strength. No one ever thought in a million years we'd be in a situation where Zoom's stock where it is and the growth where it is, because ultimately they pulled forward probably 4 to 5 years of growth. I think they're going to be aggressive on M&A, going to expand. They have a massive install base. That's going to be the focus for them going forward.
Right on this point, on mergers and acquisitions, the company tried to buy cloud software provider Five9, but it failed. Is this the right direction for a company like Zoom, though, the cloud software environment?
I think Five9 is a good example of them trying to pivot, and obviously some regulatory issues. But I think more and more they're going to focus on cloud-driven acquisitions, as Zoom is in a sweet spot to significantly expand. But what we've seen, Salesforce bought Slack. I think you're going to see Zoom stay as a standalone company, but acquire more in terms of some of these SaaS verticals that they could sell into and monetize. and use the position of strength that they've gained over the last 20 months.
What other sectors could the company actually look at for growth? And would services such as a Zoom Phone work, in your opinion?
I think it's going to be more around, advertising. Those are areas where they could really further monetize that. I also think more and more in terms of collaboration. Also, as we get into some areas like the metaverse, I could see Zoom potentially aggressively investing in some areas of the metaverse, as this could be a significant avenue of growth for them going forward.
How do you see a company like Zoom differing from other companies such as Microsoft Teams and other potential players? Where does it stand?
Well, that's part of the issue is that Microsoft, I mean, this is their backyard. And, for obviously where they are is, the most valuable company with Apple in the world. Teams, they basically just throw in like bread at a restaurant. So that's competitive versus the likes of Zoom. But the Zoom platform, the scalability, I think most users have seen, it continues to be, a significant notch above others, which is why you see more enterprise and consumers paying for Zoom. And I think we're still going to see that. I think the demise of Zoom, I think that that's greatly exaggerated, although it's moderating growth. And that's what we're seeing play out.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.